Being friends with an ADHDer can be frustrating, excruciating, and actually bewildering. It can seem like a chaotic roller coaster, but it can also be the case for the ADHD person. So if you're an ADHDer or a friend of an ADHDer, keep watching. Let's delve right in to some of the more prominent reasons why we as ADHDers might have difficulty with friendships, and also why you as normal neurotypical people might have trouble with the ADHD friendship relationship. We have to understand that the ADHD brain is wired differently. It is physically different in its makeup, so it handles information gathering, processing, and response differently. ADHD is predominantly an executive function impairment, and the ADHD experience can be summed up with my very scientific sketch. The world experienced by neurotypical people is linear. There is a past with all of its memories and experiences, a future filled with goals and hopes and dreams, and a present which draws on that past for guidance and looks towards the future for direction. The ADHD brain doesn't work like this. There is the present, the now, and then there is the not now, everything else. And it's harder for us to access those past memories and experiences whilst we're in the now, or look towards the future for guidance. So how does this relate to issues with friendships? Well, here are a couple of the more prominent ones, and at the end, a little bit of advice as well, moving forward for you guys. Number one, proximity. We function in the now, and to use the bucket analogy, our brains are always filled with the things in the now. So people in our immediate reach, our immediate sphere, they're in the bucket. And we love being face to face with friends and other people because they're instantly in our bucket. But when distance is put into the mix, everyone and everything that's at that distance becomes not now. The bucket's contents gets displaced by new nows, which leads me on nicely to the next point. Number two, overwhelm. Living with a now brain means a lot of the time we are in crisis mode, always rushing to put out the next fire and constantly trying to keep our buckets from overflowing. It's not great, and it's really easy for our buckets to become full and to overflow, and actually to stay overflowing for very long periods of time. So when even seemingly small positive demands for our attention come our way, that could be a phone call or a text message from a friend or a family member, it doesn't feel small to us because we simply don't have the capacity or room. And the thing is, we really care about the people that we choose to be friends with and are hyper aware of how ignoring those messages, those things, can hurt and damage others. So it quickly creates more of that guilt and shame that we are so used to by now. And then this guilt actually stops us sometimes from reaching out when we want to make contact or when our buckets are a little bit emptier again. Number three, distraction and hyperfocus. Our brains can become distracted or hyperfocused on something very, very easily. So when we are with friends, we might not seem totally engaged or totally present because our brain is thinking about something else. And this can lead back to exactly what I was saying just before about the guilt and the shame, because we are also very aware of this too. Then at number five, we've got forgetfulness and always running late, or arriving places always flustered. We tend to have poor working memories, so couple that with the distractibility, the hyperfocus tendencies, challenges in planning, prioritization and organization, task switching, and our difference in time perception makes forgetting or Being late, very, very familiar things to us. And finally, inconsistency. Remember the issues around proximity and overwhelm and focus? Well, this does make us inconsistent in our social engagement. We might one minute be the model friend, texting, responding, arranging dates, and doing all the things that tick the accepted social signals that show that we care. And then suddenly, it's all displaced by new nows, new things that demand or need our immediate attention. Our bucket gets full, so we might switch to no contact at all. And to the outside world, this can look like we're just ghosting people. These aren't cop-outs or excuses, and they might not be what you want to hear. But these are just a few tiny, tiny parts of what it's like to live with ADHD day to day. It doesn't, however, mean that we can get away with being dicks. Don't forget to hit me up with some of that sweet, sweet dopamine by leaving a like and a subscribe. It genuinely gives me that little flood of dopamine that helps me make more of these videos. If you're a friend of an ADHDer and you're watching this, then thank you so much. By simply trying to understand and watch these sorts of videos shows that you really, really care. Now, I do have a few suggestions for both ADHDers and the neurotypical friends as well. You might not like this first one, but let's go there. Friendships and relationships are a commitment. Do you want to, or simply can you, as an ADHDer or a friend of an ADHDer, commit to this relationship, knowing that the dynamics will not be what you are used to? It doesn't make us better or worse people, however we answer this question. Secondly, by simply acknowledging and accepting how someone is on a fundamental level can be enough. Having a really deep and meaningful conversation with each other will really, really help. Explain the difficulties you face as someone with ADHD and together explore ways to help each other out. One way I've found when I'm not in a bucket overflow crisis mode is to include even just a small block of time, just 10-15 minutes, where you can ping a few messages off to people just saying hello. Most of my friends know me well enough by now, and we've had these conversations and these deep and meaningful drunken chats late into the night, that they and me are assured that my irregularities and inconsistencies are not a commentary on them or our friendship or just how much I love and care for them. What have you guys found to work? And how have you, as an ADHDer or friend of an ADHDer, overcome any of these challenges that these symptoms that we have can present? Let me know in the comments below, because I read every single one and it's really interesting, and I think it helps everyone else get to grips with it a little bit better. But for now, thank you as always. Take care. Bye-bye.